Guys, in the last 9 years of this channel, well, the 9 years that I've had this channel, I've seen a lot of knives. Some of them are really good. Some of them are okay. Some of them are on the border. But there's some that really stand out as the worst knives I've ever received. So some of these I've bought. Some of these were sent by you guys. Let's go ahead and turn this around and be disappointed. All right, guys. What's in this pile represents 5 of the worst knives I've ever gotten. Some of you guys are going to argue with me for a couple of them, and a couple of them are for different reasons. So let's go ahead and crack into it. We're going to start with this one right here. And if it's this Boker ceramic, and you can see I already have the gnaw out. We don't need the yup at all. Matter of fact, I can just take that. They're all gnaws. This is the Boker ceramic folder. Now, you guys have seen this before, and on paper, this should be great. Ceramic blade, probably never need to sharpen it. This thing is still incredibly sharp. This is a beast when it comes to cardboard, but there ends the good stuff. As you can see, thumb stud fell off. I could not get it back on. It was never on there really well on the ceramic blade. Next thing, detent on this is bad. It's really stiff, and then when you snap it open, you get lock stick, and it just feels like it's going to break that, because this is basically glorified glass. The tip on this broke off. I had to use a diamond file to clean that up and give it a point back on it. The way it feels in hand is horrible. The pocket clip that was for this broke, so I got rid of the pocket clip because the pocket clip broke, and it was, as you can see, tip down only in that one spot, but the pocket clip broke. So everything about this has been horrible, and I'm sure ceramic knives have their place. I'm sure they do, but not in your pocket. They're just too fragile. There's too many things wrong with them. You have to be so careful with them not to chip them. If you put any lateral force on it, it breaks just like glass. We drop it, as I did this one, tip broke completely off of it. The only thing about them that I'll say is cool is that's the actual color of the blade. That's not like a coating or anything. It's just black ceramic. So it is kind of cool, and if you're just using it to cut up cardboard, it's great. But I would absolutely never recommend one of these Boker blades. It's just a bad knife. It just feels flimsy overall. The only good thing about it's a blade, and it probably would have been fine if it had been a kitchen knife that was used for light-duty kitchen purposes. So there you go, the Boker Plus ceramic. Yeah, there you go. And this one is the first of our well-known brands that gave me a bad knife. And I have to say, it's not the knife itself. It has nothing to do with the design. This is absolutely one of my favorite designs. This is the Endura. It's a full flat grind. The FRN lockback. They're great knives. The problem I have with this one is this is in ZDP 189. Spyderco just recently stopped using ZDP 189. They took it off their catalog. They don't offer it anymore, which is a good thing, because as far as I've seen, the ones I've sharpened and this one that I own, they never got their heat treat right. So ZDP 189 is kind of finicky steel anyway. You can see this has some surface rust. ZDP 189 is a tool steel. What it has going for is you can take it all the way up to 67 Rockwell. Wherein lies the problem with this knife? This knife was never heat treated properly. I've sharpened it multiple times. I've got a fairly good aggressive edge on it now, but this knife would never hold an edge. It's the worst Spyderco I've ever owned. The only reason it's here is because it was a gift, and it saves me from buying another Endura, because the Endura is one of my favorite style of knives. As a matter of fact, it encompasses the Police, which I think is my favorite of the Spyderco knives. But this one just wasn't good. The heat treat on it was bad. I could never get it to keep an edge. This is another one of the Spydercos that I've had this happen before. By the time I got rid of blade play, it is now very, very stiff. There's no way you're going to Spidey flick this knife. It's really, really stiff, especially with it being a lockback or rocker lock. It just was very disappointing. It was the first knife I ever got that I owned that was in ZDP 189, and it kind of was a disappointment having seen so many really good ones that had come across the channel in that material. And I'm kind of glad that Spyderco have stopped making it in ZDP 189. So, but there you go. The ZDP 189 Endura, just really, really disappointing on how bad the heat treat on this one was. So that puts it on my list of some of the worst knives I've ever gotten. So that brings us to our next entry, which, as you can see, MTech USA, horrible. MTech USA makes the worst knives on the market. So they really do. This is a button lock flipper. Now, I was very surprised that it actually did flip. I was able to actually flip it after I cleaned it up and put a little bit of lubricant in it. This came from one of you guys. This was a gift. It is heavy, first of all, really, really heavy. The coating on this is just spray paint. You can see there's a little bit of overspray from the silver. It looks like a pair of Adidas slides. Their pocket clips are trash. This knife, I did not take it apart to clean it up. I just simply sprayed some solvent in it and changed out the lubricant that way, because the problem with these knives, you take this apart, you're never going to get back together. And then you can really see how bad this is. So it says MTech USA, but it's on here. It says USA design, made in China. They're just horrible, horrible knives. MTech makes some of the worst knives on the market. And this really upset me that it even showed up. Overall shape and stuff, not a bad looking knife. It did not come sharp at all. And then the thing about the MTechs is it's never going to take an edge, because they really don't do anything as far as heat treat. You see how inconsistent the grinds are. It's just really bad. MTech is a brand I absolutely wholeheartedly will tell you to stay the away from. Like, it's just disappointment and broken dreams every time. You can't even really get on those thumb studs. The pocket clip is it feels sticky. It feels like the paint is starting to break down. As a matter of fact, it is. Can you see that as I'm rubbing it? I'm getting like some residue off of the paint. It's sticky. It's sticky. It's nasty. I hate it. I want to go wash my hands. I'll see you guys in a second. Guys, I seriously did have to wash my hands. It felt that last knife felt like, you know, when you have a pot that's up in a cupboard above the stove and you forget about it and it's back and you reach back and grab it and it's got that sticky cooking oil all over it. That's what it felt like. All right, I'm just putting off the inevitable. This is the Rat 1. Now, I know that this is going to really upset a couple people because I'm talking bad about it, and a lot of people really love the Rat 1. But in all honesty, this was one of the knives I was the most disappointed in, because I'd seen so many people rant and rave as how good they were. And I waited pretty far into my knife collecting before I got one. So these are a liner lock with fiberglass, or I'm sorry, with nylon scales over top. I have actually coated mine because it's D2. It rusts really heavily. I coated the pocket clip. But for a knife that gets so much praise in the knife community, I'm just about as disappointed with this knife as I ever could be. Even for what I paid, I definitely would have expected more. There are knives out on the market that are of the same price point that are so much better. This is just not good. One, it's not comfortable in hand. I think that's the big one. It just doesn't feel comfortable in my hand. I don't like the access to the lock bar. I don't like the action on it. I have had this knife apart to try and fix this issue. It came very far off center, and I have yet to be able to work this pivot back and forth and tighten it and straighten it out. Some of these screws would not come out. The holes were already, they were like, some of them were stripped, and I fought to get them back in and stuff like that after I did take the knife apart. So construction standards is not great. And it's a very dated design. And for what I was expecting, probably the most disappointing. The worst thing about it is the lock. Like, access to the lock, it's not good. So you've got that edge, it's sharp, it's pretty far over, and you got to push pretty hard. There's a lot of tension on that. You got to push pretty hard on that, as you can see on my thumb there. So it's just like a perfect storm of everything that the knife industry has moved away from, but a company still banking on it. So yeah, it's a nah for me. I absolutely do not like this or the Rat 2. I just can't recommend them, and like steer clear of them. And if they are making them again, just don't buy one. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And I guarantee you guys recognize this. I found this on base the one time when I was doing a video like what's available to the military at the installations. And I found this and I got it because it reminded me of a knife I had. Prepared Mind 101 did a video about, he found one of the metal ones. This is plastic. This is plastic. It's crappy. The blade is just basically, I mean, here, watch. Can you see? The blade is just waiting to come off this shitty plastic handle. Inside here, you've got a survival kit that there's a spring in there to pop it out, and it's just a crappy survival kit. This absolutely is the only part of this that even is remotely functional, and it's still off by a few degrees on that compass. But at least it points in the general direction of north. This feels horrible. I don't like, it's not sharp. There's not even an edge on that. Like, I can push on that really, really hard. It was ground very badly. The saw teeth on it actually are pretty good. That's what's surprising about it. But just overall, just the cheapest, most garbage knife I think I've ever purchased. The only thing it has going for it is it did come with a sheath that I'm going to repurpose for, or I'm sorry, a stone that I'm going to repurpose for another knife, because it's not a horrible stone. The sheath on it, though, just absolute trash. I can't believe that they sell these. And you know that I didn't put a price point for any of these, and I'm not going to put links because you absolutely shouldn't buy any of these knives. They're all horrible. This thing is just bad. I owned the one with the metal handles when I was a kid. This just isn't that. And like I said, the fact that, like, you can see the movement of that handle and blade. So there you go, guys. All of these are a nah. The worst knives I've ever either purchased or been given. And if you're a fan of the Rat 1, I apologize, but it's just not. It's a design that needed to go away a while ago. So let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and I'll send you out about my, well, our day, your day, my day. Let's just go. There you go, guys. This one is the champ. This is the worst knife. I think this is the worst knife I've ever handled. I mean, there are swap meet knives that are better than this, but you know, we already talked about that. So just a little bit of fun, guys. You know how to support the channel. Like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. Make sure that you've got it set for all. Go down to my affiliate links down below where you can purchase knives. Use those links to buy any knife or knife-related objects. I have got an Amazon store where you can buy anything that's on Amazon. Please use that. It doesn't cost you anything at checkout. I also have a couple links that will save you money at checkout. 10% off at Coffee Brand Coffee. Drink coffee. And Temper Trail, where he's making some of the best hand-stitched wallets you're going to find. He made a bag for my daughter. It's absolutely gorgeous. And shoelaces, the best laces you're going to find. So I also have got a coupon code of Crazy Sharp, all one word, that works at Rosecraft Blades, Ferrum Forge Knife Works, and KATSU Knives. And that coupon code is Crazy Sharp, all one word. Take the Amazon store, like I said, pin it to your browser. Check out my memberships if you're interested in getting into that. I've got some stuff planned that I'm doing with the members. Guys, that's it on this one. I love you all. Keep it clean in your comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I'll see you in the next, hopefully less disappointing video.